Hello and welcome to the Docking Wings presentation. Today we'll talk about how to dock wings safely and the different types of wing docks. We're going to categorize the types of wing docks into three different categories. The first is what we call the converging approach. This is what we normally try to teach beginner crew people, maybe on their very first jump or early in their crew career, how to dock. This one would be with no inputs. We just simply are merging with the formation. So what we want to do is we want to find this place where we just have no inputs and we just kind of converge with the formation. The second one is the flat approach. This is the one that sometimes we call the world record approach. It's flat, usually with speed, and then we can stop all that energy right before the dock. And then the last is the cross control. It's another flat approach technique with just a little bit of lower speed. Many of you might have remembered the teeter-totter when we were young. If one side gets heavier, it goes down. If one side gets lighter, it goes up. When we do canopy formation, it's very similar to the teeter-totter, especially our diamond formations, which we have found to be extremely strong and healthy if they're balanced correctly. But the formation must be symmetrical or balanced to stay healthy. Any up or down energy brought into the formation will transfer. If I get heavy on one side, the opposite side gets light, just like on our teeter-totter on the playground. If we approach from the side, this energy, if we do bring it into the formation, is more easily absorbed or repelled. But again, always we're trying to dock 6 inches from the shoulder so we don't bring any energy into that formation. But if we do dock, our docks need to be smooth and set so there's no up or down forces that can affect the health of that formation. Okay, so how do we make the perfect dock? The perfect dock is achieved by never touching fabric. I want you to let that sink in. We should never have to touch fabric if we have a perfect dock. We should be aiming for the shoulder. The foot or hand should be able to get that line underneath there. It just makes it so much easier to get that foot in there. The perfect dock transfers no energy into that formation. We shouldn't be carrying a lot of speed. We should bleed off all that speed before we try to dock on there. The perfect dock is achieved by using the proper technique and not speed. So if we want to dock quickly after the previous person, we time it to do that. The perfect dock has 0 wrap potential, and the perfect dock will have all canopies parallel to each other. So we're flying the same direction. The canopies have no roll difference. We're all flying parallel to each other. That's the perfect dock. So here we have a 4-way diamond, and we've got number 5 and number 6 coming in to dock. Number 5 is what we call a wing because it'll only have a grip on one side and not both sides. And then we have his lockup coming up, and a lockup locks up that wing. So as he starts to travel up, you can see how he's aiming for the shoulder on there. And our goal is to dock without touching any canopy, preferably when we're learning without any control. So I'm just kind of merging with the formation. And we want to stop any energy before it's taken. The goal is to stop 6 inches outside the shoulder and make that guy reach for your grip. We use the outside brake to slow that energy, but it doesn't give us lift if we only use the one brake. If we dock properly, high enough, then we should be able to just put our foot in there or grab the line. Again, we don't want to grab fabric. The closer we get to the formation, the less inputs we should be using. We should do all of our major adjustments on the way back to the formation or while we're out in echelon. And then the closer we get to the formation, we do less and less and less magnitude of adjustments. All right, so we'll watch that same video again here. We've got the wing coming in to dock, and then he puts some outside brake to slow down that energy, aiming for the shoulder. And then we've got our lockup following behind him. We try to lock up 5 to 6 seconds behind that wing so he doesn't sit out there unlocked and have a chance to go around. We want to set it nice and soft, or better yet, park 6 inches away from that shoulder. Make them reach. We want this to be smooth. If we can dock with minimal control inputs, or again, park 6 inches from that shoulder, then we put little or no energy into that formation, and it keeps everybody safe. The previous slides were showing us if we were doing the converging approach, we'd set up just a little bit lower and just kind of float up into that position. If we do have energy, we'd use that outside brake to get rid of it. The flat approach is the same thing almost, only we're coming in flat with a lot more speed. So again, we need to use that outside brake. So here we got the wing and his lockup coming in, both of them about 1 to 3 seconds apart from each other. We want to get that wing locked up, and they're on a nice level path, and then they use the outside brake to get rid of that. And again, we want to try to stop 6 inches from the shoulder. And if we do put any energy into the formation, it's going to be coming from horizontal, which is a little more healthy. But the goal is no energy into that formation. Now, the reality is we'd really like to have that lockup 1 second behind the wing there. And so let's watch this here, an example. If we have both of them approaching flat, we can both dock 1 second apart. And I'll play it again here. Both of them following each other, nice and flat. We saw the video of the Canadians doing this, nice and flat. If everybody did this, we could be 1 to 3 seconds apart, and we could make 100-way in half the time that we made it back in 2007. Here are some docking tips to keep you from wrapping, hopefully. Beware of other canopies. Just because you're in the proper echelon position on a proper approach doesn't mean somebody else isn't. Beware. They might have fallen off. Somebody dropped a grip or something. So just always keep your head on a swivel looking for other canopies. Approach with your canopy as flat and level as possible. Again, if we fly level, parallel, it's impossible to wrap. Aim for the shoulder or even up at the slider. Again, our goal is to never touch fabric. Our goal is to get our foot into the line, not to grab a canopy. So if we can aim for the shoulder to slider area, then it's easier for that person that's catching to get their hand in there. If you're a lockup, and always dock on the inside grip. We never dock on an unlocked wing. That would really upset the balance of the formation, and that could end up in a wrap as well. And if you're calling in and that person's not looking at you, call the catcher's name 3 times. Hey, Brian, hey, Brian, hey, Brian, here I come. There may be times when we need to plug a slot. If we're capable or the proper wing loading, we definitely want to do it. But if we see a wing out there and it's been a while with no lockup in sight, go lock them up. Don't leave them hanging out there. For the people catching, if I'm catching somebody who's coming in and docking, we need to make sure we hand up and out to the outmost flyer. Remember, when they're coming in, it may be hinged a little bit. They may be a little behind on the opposite side, so we may need to hand forward, up, and over to hand that grip out so that wing can grab it. Always double check your grips. On that second 100 way we did, we had 100 people all docked in there, but we had 1 wrong grip, so it was an invalid world record. So always double check your grips. Yo, grip, grip, grip. When you come in, if you can see if they have a proper grip on your lines. If they don't have it, keep yelling, grip, 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 yell their names, let them know. And then sometimes when we're on the outside of a formation and we have bigger canopies coming in or maybe doing specialty dives, we may end up having to take a full sail grip. So we may grab the second line in. It wouldn't be a record or anything, but we may do it for safety reasons. Here's some tips for docking and flying the wing. Remember, we want to try to dock as soft as possible, not putting any energy into that formation, and we want to set it soft. So if we dock high, we don't need to slam it down onto their foot. We always want to try to keep our hands in our brakes and then immediately have our outside hand on the front riser. We only need to pull the front riser if it's needed. Again, our goal is just to keep our canopy nice and flat. If we do need any front riser, we just need just enough to keep our canopy nice and level with the other canopies, nice and flat. Remember, we always fly our canopy. Let that lock-up canopy slide up and down on your legs so they know they're light or they know they're heavy. Fly your canopy. Your canopy is your responsibility. And fly your canopy while you're taking grips. Don't forget, your primary responsibility is your canopy. So when you're waiting for a grip, just don't ignore your own canopy. So make sure you're scanning back and forth, making sure that your canopy is still nice and flat and it's not getting too floaty or too heavy on the person that you're docked on. If we're in unlocked wing, we want to try to keep our canopy from going forward at all. Remember, you can use your body. Get your body big. We want to try to do as much drag as possible on there. Once we get 45 degrees out in front of that formation, you're going to come around. So we don't even want to get close to that 45 degrees. If I'm 30 degrees sticking out, I need to do something about it. We can use that outside toggle whip and just immediately slam it as much as possible to bring that wing back. I'd rather be floaty than to go forward. If my canopy's going up, I'd rather have it floaty like that. As long as our canopies are parallel, we're not going to wrap. But we need to try to stay level and even with others in a row. So here it shows if I float up and I look over and we're not eye to eye with the person next to me, maybe I need to add a little front riser. Or conversely, here's the opposite showing maybe I'm pulling too much. If I'm looking over at the guy's belly button or belt, then maybe I just have a little bit too much inside front riser, and I just need to keep my canopy level with the other ones. I may need outside front riser, inside brake if I'm row 4 larger, but that's more for advanced people. That's parked out there, kind of like in a cross control. And then I also can come in and do a cross control approach and park next to it. But again, that's for experienced people. I just want you to be aware that some people may be doing that. It's probably better to wait until you have a little bit more experience. It's not the best tool, and it takes a little while to get used to. So right now, think about the basics, and then later on we can work on these fun things that opportunities like cross control. The first wing docking technique we're going to talk about is the converging approach. This is the type that we start all the new pups out with. This is the one everybody should try to start to learn at first, because we need to know how to get to the formation without any energy impacted into that formation. And so if we just simply find that place out there, a good set position that we don't have to do any front riser, any rear riser, any brakes, and we just naturally converge with that formation, that's the easiest way to learn crew. Just like we need to walk before we run, this is our walking on getting to wing docks, and once we master this, we can move on to any other technique. So here we have a 16-way, and row 5s are coming on. Both sides are doing converging approaches. We're watching the left side, and you can see how he just really didn't use much of an input at all, just rising up. And now let's look at the right side. So same on the right side. Let's just watch how much input. You can see he's just kind of going to be tweaking. He got to that great place, and now he's just kind of fine-tuning, barely doing anything. But look at the speed and the momentum. Almost nothing coming in there. He just converged with that formation. Nice job. Nice example. And now we've got our row 6s coming on to this formation. And let's watch that left side again. Watch how much input. Once he gets to that set position, he's setting. And once he gets to that set position, look at that. Nothing. And he's just converging. And to the dock. Look at it right on the shoulder, right where he's supposed to be. Nice job. Look at where the lockup is. The lockup's got a great line where he can come nice and flat over. So super job on that left side, just converging in there, inputting no energy into the formation. And over on the right side, just watch how much input, hardly any input at all. We just float up, just kind of tweaking. Could have done a little better job standing outside in the clean air, but again, he hit about waist high, not too bad. His lockup could probably do a better job following him in, but great wing docking on the right side. So on this formation, the row 5's and row 6's wings all converged with the formation, all doing the perfect technique. Very, very nice. So in this example, we're watching this jumper coming up, just kind of floating up. He's doing the converging, but watch when he sets the dock, how he inputs all that information. He pulled down just a little bit too much. Let's watch that again. This time, as he docks, watch the very top canopy. Watch how much he moves that pilot canopy around. That dock caused all that instability in the formation just because after he docked, he put too much energy in there. Remember, all we're trying to do is keep our wing level. We don't need to honk down and input any up, down, and make our teeter-totter upset. So let's look at this dock approach here. And what happened? We got the jumper coming from the right side, coming in, got behind the body, and then he tried taking the canopy out, and all of a sudden his canopy just gets thrown down, clear down to the next jumper. Let's see what happened here. So here he comes up, tries to bring it down, and whoosh, down he goes. So what happened? That's right. Those wingtip vortices got a hold of him. Once you get in those wingtip vortices, the force is so great. You saw how fast he was doing no inputs, but his canopy just got slammed one whole system down into the guy below him. Very, very powerful. We need to avoid these. That's another reason why if we can aim 6 inches from the shoulder, stay out in that clean air, we're never going to be in the burble. We're never going to have these wingtip vortices. All right, let's see what happened to this canopy. He's coming up, not a bad speed here. And then what happens? Well, we didn't stop that energy. We just kept that energy coming up and over, and you can see right now he's into front riser now, but he got into it just a little bit late. His canopy's lost about a third of its surface area there, and so he just didn't shut down that energy. And even though he wasn't coming, quickly at it, he still could have did a better job of parking that canopy. Again, 6 inches outside that shoulder is our target. That's where we should be aiming for. All right, so let's watch this example. First on the right side, we've got a canopy coming out doing a converging approach, but look at how more flat this guy is. So sometimes we've got to set a little bit lower. Sometimes if we're really light, we may have to set even higher. And now let's watch the left side. We're trying to get to that perfect set position where we do nothing, and he's trying. It looks like he's aiming for the foot instead of the shoulder. But the good thing is he takes another way to go out, takes a reset. Now we come in again. Look at all that extra energy we got, and look at how we grab onto that line. And now that person grabbed onto the line, hard pointed, and let that canopy drag that formation down. So we don't want to do that. If we're a catcher, we don't want to take that energy in there. And if we're docking, we need to always keep flying to that slot. So those were great examples of the converging approach. Again, if we're starting crew, beginner, this is the best way to learn how to come in and dock so that we know exactly the rate of the formation versus our canopy, and we can just converge with that formation. If we can converge with the formation with absolutely no inputs from any brakes, front riser, rear riser, we're just converging, and we can control that so much easier than coming in with speed. And then later, as we get comfortable and more experience, we can start to come in with a little bit more speed, learn how to get rid of that speed. Using the outside brake is the best way, and then we can keep working our way up to get to that flat approach. The flat approach. This is what we came up for For big way technique, in order for everybody to get in efficiently, the flat approach is all about timing. If we come in flat, everybody has a path to come to the formation. It allows, if there's any energy brought into the formation, it's only horizontal energy and none of this teeter-totter that affects the overall formation, the health of the formation. And it allows all the lockups a nice, healthy, and efficient path to make it to the formation. So let's look at this. This picture shows the bottom half of the 100 way. So if we ever want to go bigger, we need to put row 11 on. So imagine if all 11 people on row 11 came perfectly flat. We could all dock between 1 and 3 seconds behind each other. And everybody has a path. Nobody has to wait on another. Everybody can time it just perfect on the person that they're following. And so if everybody was able to come nice and level, we could put the entire row 11 on between 11 and 33 seconds. In November of 2022, we had a sequential record, and we had Team Canada went ahead and provided us with this great video examples of how to come in on the flat approach. So on the left-hand side, we can see how nice and slow the wing is coming in. We have contact, so we start the clock. 2 seconds later, we have his lockup coming in. Here comes the third one. 8 seconds later, and then 2 seconds after that, we've got number 4 coming in. So basically, within a span of a few seconds, we have all 4 people getting on the formation. All nice and healthy, no extra energy imparted into the formation. So here was the next attempt. Again, let's watch the left-hand side wing. They're coming in nice and flat. Look at how it gives a nice path for that lockup to come in and their lockup. So 1 second after the wing docked, another second, number 3 was on, and then 4 seconds later, number 4 was on. So in less than 7 seconds, we had all 4 people into the formation. It's all about timing, not about the speed. Watch how fast these guys are going. It's not about the speed, it's about the timing. And so right now he's waiting for that diamond to point out down on the bottom. He's a little bit high here. So he's waiting. And now he's going to come in for the dock. And his lockup's right there. His lockup actually got there 0.7 seconds before the wing. Okay, slightly before is okay. And then 5 seconds later, number 3 comes in. And then another 5 seconds later, number 4 comes in. So in a span of 10 seconds from the time that wing docked, we had all 4 canopies again docked on that formation. So great example for us on how to do that flat approach and how effective that flat approach can be. In this video on the left side, we have somebody coming in nice and flat from the side. Got a little bit low, but still look at how we target up for the shoulder. We didn't quite make it up there, but look at how nice and easy it was for that lockup to be able to follow him to the formation. So our next video, we have our same guy coming in from the left over here, practicing his flat technique, coming in nice and flat. Look at how, oh yeah, this is much better. Nice and flat, and then we put too much front riser on there. Remember, our goal is to keep this canopy nice and level. We only need to put as much front riser in just to keep our canopy level. And you can see how this individual put in so much that he was able to weigh down that formation. And here's our next video on the right side. Look at how we're coming in a little bit low. And then we go ahead and we go out to that outside in the clean air and then bring it back in. And then look at how easy that lockup was, easy to follow over there on that right side. So he realized he was a little bit low, but he brought it up in that clean air and then brought it from the side. So if there was any energy, we have it from the side. Great job from the right side. All right, in the same video over on the left, let's look at this left side. And look at how the hand is out to catch, which is what we want. We want to provide a target for that person that's coming in, let them know that you're ready to receive the grip. But no, actually, that hand is actually out there, and in their mind, they're waiting for the fabric to come down. Look at how they have an opportunity to grab the line and get the foot in the line, but they actually wait for that canopy to lower. And remember, our goal is to never touch fabric. And so we try to get our hand and or foot, preferably the foot, into that line ASAP, and then get our hands back in control of our canopy. That's our goal. Okay, this video, we're going to watch the left-hand side. We're trying to come in nice and flat, which is great. But another part of it is we normally wait for that diamond to point out before we came in. And look at how this person came in, nice flat, put it on a shoulder, all that. But we just didn't quite wait for that diamond to point out. So most of the time we want the diamonds to point out, because once it becomes a diamond, it becomes nice and stable. And most of the time we put a little pause in there, maybe 5 seconds. When we got up to the 100 ways, when we did row 7, 8, we told them we want a good solid 12 seconds before we come in after that diamond points out, allowing that formation to gather its strength again. So normally we wait unless we've been instructed to go ahead. And sometimes on the sequential records, we may not do that. So this video will show what happens if we come from too high and we try to come in flat, but we don't get rid of that energy. And you can see just how fast that this person went around. So if we're going to come from high, and it's okay to come from a little high, remember we need to use that outside brake, try to get rid of all that speed, and then our goal is to dock 6 inches from the shoulder of the canopy. And so that way we don't bring any energy into the formation, or we don't just go around like this person did. In this video, we see this person came from really high in there and then outside brake, got rid of all that extra speed, and then we dock on the shoulder. Look how nice and soft that this person docks on the formation. So kudos to this person from coming high, getting rid of all that excess energy, and then docking nice and soft. And in this video, we show what can happen again with if we get this teeter-totter out of balance. And you can see over there on the left side how we just had a really horrible dock coming from low and up. And look at all the energy that it brought into the formation there, and it made it move from the left to the right. It was just totally out of balance because we had that up and down energy on this teeter-totter that made the formation very unhealthy. If there would have been a canopy docked on the other side, it could have sent the other side around because of all that extra energy that we brought into the formation. The cross control approach. Ideally, we would want to use the inside brake and the opposite outside front riser. And the reason why we would want to do that is once we're docked, a lot of times when we're row 4 or higher, that's how we want you to set inside that formation after you dock. So if you're already using the inside brake and outside front riser, when you dock, you can just hold it right there. And it makes it super safe for the formation, makes it super safe for you so you don't go around. So ideally, that's the combination that you would want to use. So this video shows me doing the cross control technique on the 200 ways. And this is the first 100 way that we did. And you can see how much room that I'm using out there in cross control. Very little room, so anybody else can fly close and I don't scare them off. And then once the diamond points out, look at how nice and slow, predictable I can come in. Creates a very good path for my lockup to follow. And you can see how the lockup comes in afterwards. This is the second 100 way. And again, look at how I'm waiting for the diamond to point out, but I just park it right there. This is when you use cross control. You can just park out there, wait. You don't gain an inch, lose an inch, creep forward. Diamond's pointed out, so now I head in and look at the lockup being able to come in nice and quickly behind me. So I dock and then 2 to 3 seconds later, the lockup's able to dock. So that's how we can do the cross control approach. This is the next example of the cross control approach. You can see the person on the left there coming in cross control, stays in cross control while the grip's being taken, and you can see how the lockup was there right behind him just a few seconds later. In this example, again, we can watch cross control over on the left side. You can see how he's coming in. He's got his left hand on his outside front riser, brake just a little bit on the inside, and that's how we would dock, like I was mentioning before, on row 4s or larger. Just a real healthy way of doing it to make sure that your wing doesn't go around. In this video on the right hand side, we've got the orange and green canopy coming in cross control, doing a very good job, coming in nice and soft, slow. But once we dock, we can let up just a little bit on that cross control. You can see here how he's adding too much. And again, our goal is to have our canopy level. We don't need to be pulling it down. And if this guy was to look over at the guy to him on the left, you could see he's well below. They should be sitting eye to eye, and he's just applying way too much cross control. And to summarize all the techniques that we just talked about, all 3 methods you could dock with no energy into the formation, but we got to make sure that we're aiming 6 inches from the shoulder and parking that canopy so we don't put any energy into that formation. The easiest to learn is the converging method, which is what we normally teach the pups. Once we learn the converging method, then we can start moving on. And then the flat and cross control approaches are easier for lockups to follow. So this is the preferred way for the big ways, the 81 ways, 100 ways, and now the new sequential dives. This is the preferred method, so we can come nice and flat and all the lockups can follow. The cross control approach should only be practiced away from the formation until you're mastered. This is what we do when we break off at 3,000 feet, 4,000 feet. This is when it's a great time to practice the cross control next to somebody so you have a static. But we don't want to be trying it right next to a big formation because it does take a little while to get a hang of it, and it's always better to practice it away from everybody. And that's all I have on the wing docks. I hope this was informative to you. If you have any questions, please get a hold of me. I'm always there to help. Thank you.